Hello, everyone. How are you? Sorry, I got a little bit confused then by the light. How are you all? Are you okay? Hope you're doing well this Friday evening. We're a bit of an hour later than we usually are, so thank you very much for joining us this Friday. My name's Carl, and I'm going to be your host for the next hour as we talk about teaching abroad in 2022. Please say hello in the chat. I can see some people have already said hello. Juliana in Missouri, Ben in Minneapolis, Jennifer sending some good vibes, Kerry waving hello, Relaxation and Chill. What a great username that is in Tbilisi. Tbilisi is one of my favorite places I've ever been to in my life. It's an amazing place. Ben in Leeds, Joanne in Ireland. Joanne, I'm in Belfast. I don't know if you're anywhere near me at all. Jennifer, hello. Ayushi in India, Eugene in Los Angeles, James, Ayup. Mike, hello. So hello, Trevor in Caves. I can't keep up with the hellos. So please, if you've got any questions at all about teaching English as a foreign language, please put them in the chat and I will try my best to answer them. Who am I? Well, I'm Carl, as I said. I live in Belfast, Northern Ireland, where I work for TEFL Org as a teacher trainer. So if you do any of the practical courses here in Northern Ireland, where you get to spend a weekend with me teaching you and training you how to be a teacher, then we might see each other. I also work as a TEFL examiner for a couple of different companies. I work as an online teacher and I work as a face-to-face teacher. I've been very lucky to have taught in many places around the world: China, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Azerbaijan, Spain and Italy. Just before COVID, I was over there quite a bit. And I've set myself up as an independent teacher working online for about the last 7 years. So any questions about that, or any questions at all about teaching English as a foreign language, as I said, please put them in the chat. I will answer them. Or Erin is managing the chat as well. She might answer the questions before I get to them. Okay, so I'll look at all those hellos, everyone. Jamaica, Henry, you're in Jamaica. That might win the jealousy things for me today, I tell you. Although Cape Town is a nice part, Trevor. Right, let's get going with this presentation where I'm going to talk a little bit about teaching abroad in 2022. So if you want any more details about anything that I'm saying, as I said, you can put a question, but if not, go to our website, tefl.org. We've got a fantastic blog section where you put into the search online teaching in Southeast Asia, I don't know, setting up my own business, being a digital nomad, whatever you want to do around TEFL, put it into the blog and you'll find a page around it. If you don't, message us and we will make a page for it. So let me talk a little bit what I believe. Now, I'm just a bloke who has been teaching a while, and what I believe about the current situation. You might think different, you might read different. There's sort of different opinions, but I'm talking about the current situation I believe there is in 2022 in teaching abroad. I'm not going to talk too much about online. We've done lots of videos about that before. So as of April 2022, in case you decide to watch this video in 6 months, hello to people in the future, there are big parts of the world recruiting at the moment for teachers to move abroad and work with them. Okay, there are, even with COVID still going, even with Shanghai, for example, being locked down, 25 million people or whatever it was over the last few weeks, there are big parts of the world recruiting at the moment. On our job website, this is just ours. So if you go to tefl.org, look for jobs at the top, you will see some countries and some companies recruiting. And one of them that's recruiting at the moment, and now it's not to start instantly, is the UK. So I'm going to talk in a bit about some of the timings about moving abroad. But the UK is starting the recruiting process now to come and work in the summer. Big TEFL opportunities in the UK and Ireland in late May, June, July, August. So maybe if you've got the right to work in the UK, and maybe you're not in the UK, I can see some people, lots of people outside the UK. Maybe you want to come to the UK and work. this summer. Other countries that are advertising a lot at the moment, you've got China, Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand. These are all on our website at the moment. So yes, China has lockdown issues at the moment. They're trying to keep COVID zero. Surely I'd say that's impossible long term. But there are companies on our website advertising. If you go to other websites, for example, eslcafe.com, for example, tefl.com, these websites will have other jobs available in these countries. This is just on our website, so something to think about. China, Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand. There's all recruiters advertising on our website at the moment to go there. Mexico and Chile as well, if you fancy going west from where I am in the UK to Mexico, Chile, Central South America, they are also recruiting. There are also adverts on our website at the moment for Germany, Spain, Italy, and Turkey. So these are, you've got Europe there, you've got Southeast Asia there, you've got Central South America, you've got Turkey, Istanbul, amazing city, half of it in Asia, half of it in Europe, depending on your sort of geography, really great parts of the world. And these are just some of them that I've picked out. There is also, and if I was a single guy without kids and without a wife, well, no, I'd take my wife actually, why not? I would go work in Iraq at the moment. What a fantastic opportunity that is. We've got a job being advertised on our website at the moment for Iraq. I've been to Iraq, I've taught in Iraq. It's fantastic. Okay. Right. So let's talk a bit about getting abroad in 2022, wherever you are. Now, I'm looking at the people who are logging in saying hello. We've got Bulgaria, Australia, Jamaica, London, USA, Ireland, India, Los Angeles, Cape Town, all over the world, the people watching this at the moment. And where you can go in your situation does depend a bit on your visa. Okay, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about getting abroad in 2022. All right. The first thing that you need to think about if you're deciding to go work abroad in 2022 is sort of when you want to go, because the process would sort of change. If you're looking to go later in the year, you've got time. Obviously, if you're wanting to get out as quickly as you can, you've sort of got to get on it. So if you're thinking about moving in the spring, you've got to get moving now on your applications. You've got to get moving now on getting your certificate if you've not got your certificate, getting your stuff together. And I'll talk in a bit about what you need to get together. But if you're thinking, oh, do you know what, I'd like to get going before the start of the summer. Now, start of April is the time to get sending off those applications and get writing those CVs, all that kind of thing. You've got to get on it now. The summer is slightly different because big parts of Europe, they don't really have many classes going in the summer. So if you want to go to Europe, the summer is a difficult time to get over there. A lot of teachers I know who live in Spain, Italy, France, they actually come back to the UK or come back to Ireland to teach here in those months because there's not much work over there in June, July, August. But if you're looking to go to Asia, that kind of thing, it's a good time now to be starting to get applications in because you'll see jobs advertised where they want people to come in June, July, August. Okay. Now, if it's in the autumn and you want to go in the autumn, you've got to start thinking and planning your situation now. There's no major rush for the autumn, but it will start creeping up because some countries can take 3 months, maybe 4 months to get the visa. Okay, so if it's a country where there's a long visa process, you've got to start getting yourself together now to go in September or October. Okay, a lot does depend on your location and your passport. Sorry, it depends on the location you're going to and the passport you're holding right now. So there's no way for us here at the TEFL Org to go around it. But there are countries that prioritize the work visas for people depending on what passport they have. Is that right? Is that wrong? I think we probably all have opinions. But for example, China, they do give a preference to people who have a British passport, an American passport, an Australian passport, and there's some other countries on that list, whereas they tend to not allow people in so much from other countries. So it does, but there are different locations around the world where that changes. So that is something to think about. Okay. The location you want to go, as I said, it depends on the visa, how long it takes the visa to get through. Depends on whether you can get a visa there quickly. It also depends on what their term situation is like. So a lot of Asian countries will recruit people to start now in October now, because they're sort of maybe coming to a bit of a break. Okay. Some universities don't open over the summer. Some schools don't open over the summer. So they don't recruit teachers over the summer. Just something to think about. Okay. Please, anything more in there, please put it in the chat. Okay. I can see some questions. I will get to them, I promise. Okay. So me, if I wanted to go abroad at the moment, where would I be going? Okay. What would I think about? So first of all, it depends on the visa situation. I'm lucky I have a British passport. That really helps me to get around. I can get sort of visa situations going, but other countries might be slightly different. Europe, though, seems to be opening up quicker than elsewhere. That's what I've looked at from the volume of adverts and from hearing from the people that I've been training. So Europe seems to be a bit more open in terms of having face-to-face classes. They seem to be a bit more open in terms of, they seem to be a bit more open. Sorry, I'm just going to change my light here a bit. There you go. There seems to be a bit more open in terms of taking people on to come and work with them. So Europe seems to be opening up quicker than elsewhere. But I have seen some really good jobs being advertised in China and Asia. Why? Because a lot of people left Asia, they left China once the COVID situation started. They sort of, after 6 months, when they maybe weren't getting work, they decided to go home. People went home to their home countries when it all started to get locked down, for example. So I have now started seeing companies advertising for people to come back and sort of fill those roles, because a lot of TEFL teachers, they sort of go home, and once they're home, they don't tend to go back out abroad again. Okay, so definitely some really good jobs. I would not at all be put off by going to China and Asia when you're hearing about these lockdowns at the moment. I would, still think about getting out there, definitely. South America, Central America might be slightly trickier at the moment. It's not one of the easiest TEFL locations to get to. A lot of South American countries won't recruit people from abroad. They want people to already be there in country. There are some, so Colombia, Mexico, Chile, as I said already, but Brazil, for example, Argentina, for example, countries, something like Guatemala, that kind of thing, they tend to want people to already be there. So you would have to if you really want to go to South America, Central America, you might have to take the risk of flying over there without a job already guaranteed. Something to think about. Okay. So what do you need in 2022 to teach abroad? The key part is a TEFL qualification. So something like one of our courses that we offer. So that could be an online theoretical course that you would do with someone like us. 120 hours it would take you. You would take it as long as you want or as short as you can do it. You do some assignments. You'd learn the theory about teaching. That is the basic TEFL qualification that countries and companies would want you to have. On top of that, you might want to do some sort of practical element where you spend either an online weekend with me or a face-to-face weekend with me, and we offer those. Not just I do them for TEFL Org, we offer them in London, we offer them in America, we offer them in Scotland, we offer them in Spain, all these sort of places that we do. The online ones open around the world. You would spend a weekend with us, spend time practicing, talking to each other, and also you would deliver a lesson and get feedback. TEFL qualification is definitely something you need. You'd also need to get your certificates together. So, you know, if you've got a degree, you would need to make sure your certificate is available, because that would be needed for the visa process. That would be needed for the job application. So you'd have to get your certificates together. And if you don't have a degree, and there is big parts of the world open to people without degrees, just off the top of my head, for example, in Southeast Asia, you could go to I've forgotten it. Oh no, my word! Oh, that's terrible. The country between Japan, the country between Vietnam and Thailand, Cambodia. I was trying to say Colombo because I was just talking to someone from Colombo before this. Cambodia would take people on without degrees. It's late on a Friday. Cambodia will take people on without degrees. Japan, you can go to Japan on a working holiday visa without a degree and find work. Europe, if you've got an EU passport, a fantastic place to go without a degree, lots and lots of work. There are parts of South America and parts of Central America that will take people on without a degree. So you've got to be a bit more flexible if you don't have a degree. There's parts of the world that aren't open. Okay. If you're a non-native speaker, I would really suggest right now you get working on getting an English ability certificate. So is that something like an IELTS certificate? Is that like a Trinity certificate? Is that a Duolingo certificate? So you would have to take a test to prove your English. Why? Because if you see jobs advertised for people and it only says non-native speakers, you might still be eligible if you can prove you have a native speaker level of English. What do companies want? They want you to be able to prove that, and to do that, you would have to take an English test. So that can take a couple of attempts to get a really high grade. It's a difficult test, a lot of these, and can also take a while to get a slot booked. It can also take a while to receive the certificate. So that's the sort of thing that I would be getting together now in 2022. Vaccinations, and I can see there's a question already about vaccinations. Right, there are parts. Look, before COVID, you still needed a vaccination to go to some countries. I can remember when I first went to China, way before COVID started, they wanted me to prove my vaccine status for different types of diseases. Okay, so it's not just COVID. If you've not had the typical travel vaccinations, you might not be able to be accepted. I'm not just talking about COVID. So you need to check the country you want to go to. What vaccinations do they want you to have? You might have to pay for them. You might also have to do them over a few weeks. So you can't necessarily get them all done all at once. So it's something to think about that you might need to do over a couple of weeks. Okay. Criminal checks. You might need to do a criminal check in order to get abroad. Definitely for sort of any working visa, they very much ask you to check that you don't have a criminal record. Again, this can take time, something to think and start looking at. You might also need to do possible health checks. Again, it's not just checking that you're COVID negative. Could also be where they check you for things like TB. I've had to do health checks for some countries before I go over there. So these are the sort of things that you need to get ready and need to get thinking about. Okay. If you saw a job and you applied for it and you get to the stage where you're asking questions about it, or if you're searching for jobs abroad in 2022, what would you need to look for? I would say the first thing that I would really want to know about is health insurance in 2022, because yes, COVID's around for sure. What's going to happen if you get sick? And you might only be sick for a couple of days and it passes. Fair enough. But what happens if the worst case happens and you end up going to hospital? Is the company you're working for paying your health insurance? Or do they guarantee in writing that they are going to cover your healthcare costs? Because in the UK, we're lucky, we have the NHS, but abroad, you don't have maybe that luxury. You don't want to be somewhere with a big health bill. Okay. What will happen if you get locked down? So if you go and work in, let's say, Vietnam, and you're in Ho Chi Minh City, which is one of my favorite cities in the world, they shut the whole city down and you don't work. If you are they going to carry on paying your accommodation costs, for example, because that might cost a bit of money? Are they going to keep paying your wages if you get locked down and you can't go out? Or are they going to switch you online? Happy days, you can teach from your apartment. These kind of things I would really want to know before you go out there. Okay. What also happens if you or the company leave a contract early? I think this is something you need to be aware of, even if you're not if you're not thinking about COVID, if you're just generally thinking about what happens. Because, what would happen if your mum got sick or your dad got sick, for example? You signed up for a 12-month contract, and after 6 months you had to come home. What would happen? Now, some countries, they keep your passport. They keep it locked up in a safe. It's a normal thing to happen. Okay. Terrible thing, but that's what happens. You then have to negotiate with them before you can get your passport. Is there a fine you need to pay because you've broken the contract early? Or are they happy to let you go home for a term as long as you then come back 3 months later? Will they pay wages that you're owed? That kind of thing. Something that you need to be aware of. I would ask this very much before I signed up for a company in 2022. The last question, and this is something that I've been asked about a bit in my teacher training, is it safe to go abroad at the moment? In 2022, is it safe? And what I would say is nowhere is 100% safe. I have lived in Iraq, I've lived in Sri Lanka, I've lived in South Africa, I've lived in China, I've lived in Japan, I've lived in Vietnam, Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan. The place where I've had the most crime issues, for example, is London, UK. I think that nowhere in the world is 100% safe. And, I'm not sure that COVID has changed that. I think personally, I think that China and Japan is just as safe as it was pre-COVID. I think it's a fine time to go abroad, right? However, the world is very different from 5 years ago, and we need to be aware of that, I think. You need to be aware of what's going to happen if COVID gets into, in a big way, the country where you're going to, and you get locked down, for example. You need to know that information. You've got to be aware of it. You don't want it to be a shock for you once you're there. I've got people I trained up last year while COVID was still massively going, who are now in China, who keep getting locked down, but they're having a great time still. The companies are looking after them. They feel safe. They've got their vaccines. They've got everything going, but they still needed to know about all that before they went out there. I personally believe it is a great time to move abroad at the moment. I would happily move abroad at the moment. Why? Because a lot of the international people have left. And as I said, once people leave a country and go back to their home country, it's then difficult to go again, because you sort of got these ties of seeing your parents for the first time for a while, of seeing your dog for the first time in a while, for example. And that has left a lot of vacancies abroad. It's also left a lot of good vacancies in cities which are really cool to go to. Okay. But I do think you need to have a get out plan in your mind. You probably won't need it, but as I said, you just need to be aware of what will happen if Now, and we all hope that COVID is fading away. We do. But is it? I don't know. I don't know that. I don't know if scientists know that. You've got to be aware of having something in your head to get back to your home country. Okay. Good. Now I'm just going to get through some of the questions now. Thank you very much for everybody who stayed with us. And thank you, Erin. I can see you answered some of them already for me. Okay. Eugene, hello. If you're still with us, you asked this question about 22 minutes ago. What are the recommended Asian countries to travel to teach with a spouse and 2 pets? Wow. Found some difficulties finding a country that allows us to go together and have housing. Pets is an issue, Eugene. The spouse is not an issue. Pets is a problem. Why? Right. Firstly, it's expensive generally to move abroad. Now, I don't know where you are, Eugene, but it tends to be expensive to move dogs or move cats abroad. It is. You've got to pay quarantine fees sometimes. You've got to pay fees to the airport. You've got to pay vet fees, vaccinations for the animals, that kind of thing. I have never, ever seen a job advertised where the company will pay for pets to move. They'll pay for spouses, they'll pay for kids, but I've never seen a job advertised where you'll get you'll get pets payments paid. PPP. So something you've got to be aware of is it's expensive. However, I do know teachers that have moved the pets and paid for it themselves. You've got to be aware that a lot of accommodation won't let you have pets. So yes, it's expensive, but the second thing is, can you find a place to stay with those pets? Is the company going to find you and maybe pay for, because it might be more expensive, a flat or an apartment with pets? They might not. And that could be why you're having trouble finding a country. So I don't think I can say, do you know what? Go to China. They're great with pets. I don't think that's true. I think, Eugene, it's going to be a difficult situation and it's going to be an expensive situation. If you've got any advice for Eugene, or if you've got any experience of this, please put it in the chat. But I really do think it's a difficult one to do, Eugene. Okay. All the hellos. I've got to scroll through all the hellos. Hello, hello, hello. Khaled, hello. Are there opportunities in the Middle East? Yes, for sure. There's always opportunities in the Middle East. Now, the Middle East is generally quite well paid, but they can sometimes want you to have degrees and sometimes teaching experience. Some of the places I would think about, Khaled, if you wanted to go to Middle East, is somewhere like Oman. Everybody wants to go to Dubai, Khaled. So there's generally a lot of competition for the jobs in Dubai. And you will see jobs advertised in Dubai. If you go on the web and you type in TEFL jobs, Dubai, you'll see them advertised. But there tends to be a lot of competition because everybody, for some reason, and I hate Dubai, been there, I will never go there again, thinks that Dubai is the greatest place in the world. However, places like Oman, places like I just said, Iraq is advertising. I spent a most amazing year of my life in Iraq. It was fantastic. They're advertising. I've seen jobs advertised on eslcafe.com today in Azerbaijan. That's kind of near the Middle East. Quite good money. Definitely think outside the box a bit. Saudi Arabia tends to have less competition for the jobs because not everybody, for I think the wrong reasons, wants to go there. Definitely something to think about. Okay, Khaled. Necessarily don't think about the big main places. Good luck. I'm going to say your name wrongly, and I really apologize for this. Muhtaram, I'm sorry if I've said it wrongly. You're not a native speaker. Can I get a teaching English job with TEFL? Kindly clarify. So yes, if you come and do one of our certificates, you can get jobs abroad as a non-native speaker. Listen, it's more difficult as a non-native speaker. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but there is work abroad for non-native speakers. We've done webinars where we talk about working abroad as a non-native speaker. Go back through our YouTube page, go back through our Facebook page and find the video that I did about teaching abroad as a non-native speaker. You will get work. You need to keep at it. You might also need to be able to prove your English level. And what that means is if you see a job where it says native speakers only, email them, go on their website, check what is a native speaker, because they might say we accept people who's got a C1, C2 level of English. Go get your English test, get the certificate. Hello, I'm a native speaker all of a sudden. They might say, yes, if you've got a degree from an English speaking university, that counts as a native speaker. Email them, ask them what it is. There is definitely work out there, but you might need to prove your English level. Okay, it's just the way it is. Z, hello. What does your CV need to look like for a TEFL role? So I've actually done a webinar on this as well about CVs. So it's definitely something that's worth looking at. Go back on our Facebook, YouTube page and look for those. Right. So when you're first newly qualified, it can be difficult to show your ability on a CV. What you need to do is you need to show any sort of experience you have of training people. And it doesn't have to be a TEFL thing. So it could be something like in your job, you train someone how to use a till. You train someone how to use a piece of software. You train someone to sell something. If you've got anything like that, put that on your CV. If you've not got any work experience like that, then make sure you're clearly highlighting any parts of your education where you had to be in front of people presenting. Because a lot of TEFL is about dealing with people as much as teaching English. And if you can show on your CV that you've got this, recruiters will be happy. Recruiters will take you on. Okay. But Z, go back and look at the video. Okay. Z, you've got a follow-up question. Sorry, I didn't see that. You have a PGCE. Does that sometimes make it easier to get a role abroad? So our company, TEFL.org, TEFL.org, we deal with teaching English as a foreign language. And that is where the vast majority of jobs abroad are in. Okay. But if you have a PGCE, and for people that don't know, that's a qualification you can get in the UK. It's called something else in other countries, but basically it's a qualification that allows you to teach at a primary school or a high school, not subjects like English. So it might be something like geography, might be something like primary school general studies, this kind of thing, where you teach a bit of science, a bit of maths, history, whatever it might be. If you've got one of those, that opens your door a bit, because it allows you to go work at international high schools. So I don't know what your PGCE is in, Z. If you're in art, for example, you could maybe go abroad and work as an art teacher. If you're TEFL qualified, you can still go work at those, but you could only go there and teach English as a foreign language. So yes, it does make things easier because it allows you more scope. It gives you more opportunities. Okay. Dari, hello. You're curious if the situation will change in Korea. I've heard this a couple of times. The president they just elected is anti-foreigners. Well, what is anti-foreigners? You know, I could say something about the politicians in my country. Are they anti-foreigners? I don't know. But at the moment, nothing's changed in Korea. And it tends to be in Asia that they still want people to come who are well qualified and people who are happy to work there. I don't think it's going to change much as of April, probably May, June, July. May they tighten the visa restrictions a bit? Maybe. But I'd take that with a pinch of salt, anti-foreigners. What does that exactly mean, Darren? I don't think that would probably mean that they're against qualified people. Find your voice and roar. What a beautiful, amazing name. You're unvaxxed. Are there any countries that will accept people like me? At the moment, I don't know of any. You know, you need vaccinations to go on a tourist visa. As I said before in the presentation, it's not just COVID. They often have a long list of vaccinations, Find Your Voice and Raw. If you've got some of the other ones, you might be okay. But I do know that people in China who went over there pre-COVID were then told they had to get the vaccination in order to stay. Okay. Good luck with it. Ichia Parfum. These names are amazing. That's like a Japanese name, Ichia. How did you get into teaching and how did you find your first job as a TEFL teacher? So I, very first, when I was a late teenager, I just decided to go to Africa and teach. I had no qualifications except my high school qualifications. I loved it, but was it successful teaching? I'm not so sure. 5, 6 years later, I decided I wanted to go and live abroad again. So I actually went to university as a mature student, became a teacher, and I then found my first job on the website eslcafe.com. Found it with my degree, went over there. I already had my CELTA because I did that as part of my degree. So that's me. But if I was to tell people now how to get into teaching, I would say to them, find out where you really want to go. And if you've got your heart set on that country, find out what they need. If you're a bit freer and you don't really have a set destination in mind, I would suggest you go onto TEFL.org and you do one of our TEFL certificates, and you would study in that while you're studying, think about it. I was very clear that I wanted to make it my career. I was very clear that I wanted to live abroad forever. I didn't quite live abroad forever, although I'm not in my home country anymore. I've moved to Ireland. But if you're not clear and you just want to get into it and just see how it goes, just go do a TEFL 120-hour certificate, get that, start applying, see where you fancy in the jobs that are being advertised. Okay. Does that answer your question, Ichia? I hope it does. Jennifer. Oh, we were doing so well, Erin, without the Brexit question. Does Europe still accept Brits? I think they'll be happy to take your money on a Spanish beach. Work-wise, I've heard it's more difficult. I don't know many people at the moment who are getting work without an EU passport. Jennifer, are you sure you haven't got an Irish grandfather, grandmother, great-grandmother that you can get a passport with? Maybe find yourself a nice Irish boyfriend. It's not easy. That's what I know. I know that it's still a bit open in the air. The reason why it's not easy is because I think you've got to pay some money. But this thing is changing all the time a bit. And the problem is a lot of schools in Europe don't want to take on British people because they don't want to pay the fees. They also don't know what the situations are. Okay. It's difficult. Good luck. I hate Brexit. Diana, what about vacancies in Dubai? Yep, always vacancies in Dubai. Covered this a bit. You'll see them advertised. And, you know, it'll be fine. You know, if you fit that criteria and you love Dubai, get yourself over Dubai. The Middle East, the Arab Emirates is a big place, though. It's not just Dubai. Good luck with it. Trevor, you're asking me like I'm some sort of member of the UN. What and how does the current war in Ukraine affect the Europe doors being open to TEFL teachings? Well, I think it hasn't really, you know, Italy, Spain, France, Germany, I've still seen today jobs being advertised. I think it's going to close the door on teaching in Russia, which is a shame because, you know, I had a great time in Russia. I think Eastern Europe might be a little bit tricky. You know, people might be a bit on edge, but I still think I saw an advert for the Czech Republic being advertised this morning when I looked. I don't think it's going to affect much of Europe. There's a lot of refugees moving around at the moment. So I can't imagine Poland really wants a load of TEFL teachers arriving at the moment. But in 6 months, I think that would probably change. You know, I think, you know, once they can go back to Kiev and that kind of thing, I think it would change. I hope it will change for sure, because obviously Ukraine is an amazing place. I don't think it will affect France, Germany, Italy, Spain, that kind of thing much. I really don't think so. Jennifer, good question. Will there be opportunities to help Ukrainians arriving in UK to learn English? So yes, I have recently taken on a role a couple of hours a week, working for one of my local colleges because they've had a load of Ukrainians arrive that they want to get taught. If you want to go and teach them, first thing I would do would be to contact your local FE college. So that's usually the local, not a university. That's usually a local college that does courses such as vocational courses, such as plumbing, brickwork, media, this kind of thing. They tend to have ESOL, ESOL classes where they recruit people, where they want people to teach local people that can't speak English. I would phone them, email them, see if that will get involved in that. If not, I would look at charities such as refu.net, REFU. Is it refu.net or is it refunet.com? Put into Google RefuNet, you'll find it. And they help refugees to learn English all online. The next thing I would do would be to contact local churches, local mosques, see if they know of anybody that needs English teachers or needs English help. You'd be surprised around you how many people there are if you're in the UK or Europe wanting to learn English and they haven't got any money. Okay. Diana, what about Indian teachers? Well, they're fantastic. A lot of great Indian teachers there are in the world. When I lived in Sri Lanka, some of the South Asian teachers I taught with were amazing. Are you asking about moving abroad? Possible, Diana, for sure. Again, look at the countries that you can go to. So I think you could probably get to Southeast Asia, Diana, pretty well. I think you could probably get to the Middle East pretty well on an Indian passport. Something to think about. You could go abroad. Look back at our past webinars about teaching abroad, non-native speaker, maybe without a degree. Watch some of those. You'll find work, Diana, for sure. Itchia, you're back. Would a Cambridge CPE also be enough to prove my English ability? I would guess so. Yeah. CPE, I'm trying to remember. I haven't taught Cambridge for about a decade and a half. I'm not quite sure what level that is. You'd probably need C1 level or IELTS 8, maybe IELTS 9. Some places ask for IELTS 9. Impossible to get IELTS 9, I believe. But something that's worth thinking about. Yeah, I think one of those would be enough, definitely. You need to contact the company and ask them, what do they want? What level do they want? If you see a job where it says native speakers required, email them. Hello, English is my first language, but I have Cambridge CP. Does that count? They'll tell you yes or no. If not, ask them what does count. Okay. Pearl, is Duolingo certificate applicable in all countries? So it can be used for entrance to universities, the Duolingo certificate. At the moment, it can't be used for visas. So you might get your Duolingo and it will say, look, your level of English is C1, C2 level, and the company might take that on. They might say, okay, fantastic. But then they might turn around to you and say, okay, look, we accept that as your level of English, but unfortunately, our home office says you've got to have an IELTS or a Cambridge or a Trinity certificate. So it does depend on the country. You've got to do a bit of research for that. Okay. Trevor, does having epilepsy pose any problems? I don't think so. No, I don't. I've never been asked that on any form, I don't think. Look, when you go for a health check, they will go through it. I don't know personally whether epilepsy makes a problem, but I'm luckily enough, I haven't had to deal with it. But again, it's something that you would need to ask that, Trevor. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but I've never been asked it myself, I don't think. Okay. Ayushi, which countries can non-natives apply for? So I've gone through some of them already. Definitely worth looking back through our videos where I go into listen to a lot more detail about non-natives, but definitely Cambodia, definitely Japan on a working holiday visa. Look into that. It's not tricky, but it can be a bit expensive to get yourself going on that. Europe, if you've got a European passport, the Middle East definitely takes on people with non-natives, but they do have a higher requirement for qualifications often. Central South America, definitely. Maria, you're originally from Argentina. You want to go back and teach English there. How high is demand? So Buenos Aires, I've never been to Argentina. I've been to Brazil, been to the countries all around it, but not to Argentina. I want to. I've heard everyone I know that's ever taught in Argentina has loved it. Everyone I know who's gone to teach in Argentina has had to go to Argentina and find the job when they're there. You hardly ever see jobs advertised in Argentina. 20 years ago, you did when the economy was a bit stronger, but nowadays it's not. The economy is not that strong in Argentina, so they don't tend to want the companies don't tend to have enough money to pay for flights and this kind of thing. So they want people to already be there. I would suggest that once you're there, the demand is huge. I would suggest. I would also say that there's probably a really good business to be made in Buenos Aires as a private tutor. There's a strong demand for Argentinians to leave the country because of the economy not being that great. So definitely feel like you'd be able to make a good amount of money as a private tutor there, Maria. I don't know if you've got an Argentinian passport. That sounds perfect. Ellie, you're from the UK, looking to teach for Japan for 6 months, starting in autumn. So I would, Ellie, I don't know about your degree situation. I would, if I was you, look at Westgate, Westgate. They accept people in Japan for 6 month, 3 month, 6 month contracts. Definitely worth you looking for. Okay. Go look for them online. And I would start getting I saw an advert for them today on eslcafe.com. When was that to start? That might have been to start the spring. It takes about 3 months though to get your Japanese stuff together. So I would start looking now, Ellie, for sure. Companies very often want to fill up recruitment way before the date. Okay. Andrew, hi. If you are teaching online, do you have to be living there also? No, not at all. So there's online is a whole different thing that I wasn't really going to talk about today. Done videos on teaching online. Go back and watch them. Two different ways. You can either go work for a company, and they very much often don't want the people to. So if you go work for a Chinese company teaching online, they don't really care where you are. In fact, they quite often don't want you to be in China. I don't know why, but they don't. That's one way. Lots of adverts on our website, tfl.org, for online jobs. Or you can set yourself up as a private teacher where you find your own students, you recruit them, then it doesn't matter at all where you are. Okay. Do I know the demand for EFL teachers in the USA? Yeah, so interesting one, this. The problem, the USA, if you've got an American passport, fantastic. You can get yourself over there. There's loads of language schools. I actually did some work for a language school in New York last year or something like that. American passport, fantastic. Go over there. You don't see jobs advertised hardly ever. Come work for us. Great. You're in the UK. Come work for us in America. Great. You're in India. Come work for us in America. You don't tend to get that. Okay. If you really want to go to the USA, I think you would get online, find language schools and see if they will recruit you. You don't really see them advertised. Okay. If you've got an American passport, get yourself over there. You'll find loads of work. Now, I'm sorry if I said Novaka. I'm sorry if I've not said it right. Again, you've got to find out the qualification that the country and the company will accept. That's the first thing you need to do. Okay. Florencia, hello. You will attain your TEFL certificate in a month. Can you tell me where to work as Argentinian? You want to teach from home? So there's a company called Latin. If they want to teach online, what's it called? latinjobs.com? I don't know. For instance, I've seen on Facebook groups. So if you go on Facebook and type in TEFL jobs, yeah, find lots of groups in there. There's been a couple of Latin American companies recruiting people to teach online. If you want to go work abroad, I'd be making it up if I said exactly where an Argentinian could or couldn't go. I don't really know, Florencia. But I would suggest there's probably most of South America you could go work in if you want to get outside of Argentina. If your qualifications are good, I reckon probably countries in the Middle East might take you on. Yeah, for sure. I don't know about Asian countries and Argentinian passports. I've never been asked that. Erin, if you know, I don't know. Please answer in the chat for Florencia, but I'm not really sure. Suma, are there any opportunities in Singapore? Yeah, I do see jobs advertised in Singapore. I haven't seen many jobs advertised for the last couple of years. I don't know if they're really recruiting much at the moment. I don't know the situation in Singapore, but I know plenty of TEFL teachers that have gone abroad and worked in Singapore and loved it. So yeah, there are often you see jobs being advertised there. Okay. So there's a few questions here about the English level certificates. Like you've really got to just find yourself what the companies will take on and what the special certificates are. Okay. IELTS is definitely accepted everywhere. So if you're going to go for one, go for IELTS. Jennifer, why do I hate Dubai? It's just not my cup of tea. I'm sorry. It's one of the most soulless places I've ever been to in my life. But I know people that just think it's heaven on earth. And am I right or are they right? Neither of us are. Ichia, would an internship in a Swiss primary school also be acceptable? Yeah, for sure. I would whack that on my CV for sure. Definitely. That is great stuff to be put on as a CV. Might not be taken a lot of, again, you've got to ask the recruiter, what do you see as experience? Some people say it's after your certificate. Some people say it can be whenever you've learned it, whenever you taught it. But that would go on my CV and would look amazing. Oh, Jill. Oh, lovely question. Do I know if TEFL teachers can get work in Rwanda? Rwanda, about 5 or 6 years ago, there was loads of British council jobs being advertised in Rwanda. That's gone. I've not seen them advertised for a while. I used to know the centre manager of the school in Rwanda. I would go on Google, Jill. I would Google TEFL schools Rwanda, email them, because I reckon that would be fun. Magdalena, you're from Poland. You'd be interested in teaching in Italy. Thanks for the flags. What are usual requirements there? What level of English is fine to get a certificate? I reckon it probably would have to be C1 level, definitely. If you've got an EU passport, then generally it depends where you want to go in Italy and depends on the type of job. To go work in a school in Italy, you would probably need to have qualified teacher status, something like a PGCE. Language schools, one of our certificates would be enough for you to get over there, Magdalena. But yeah, they probably want C1 level. Good luck. I'm trying to get through them as quickly as I can. Requirements for online English teaching is basically a TEFL certificate. It tends to be the basic, and then everything on top of that would be an extra that the company would want. Go back and look at one of our videos, Ik bin Nosa, about teaching online, because I could go into that for an hour. Okay, go back and have a look at them. There's somewhere around this page that you're looking at right now. There are other videos where I go into teaching English online. Do it. JCB, like the digger, you'll be retiring in 3 years and want to get back into teaching. You're a registered teacher in my country for 10 years. What course I suggest start with, and where do you suggest I begin? So you want to start teaching in 3 years. You're too early to apply for jobs. I would suggest you get one of our TEFL certificates. If you want to be a TEFL teacher, go online and start doing the 120-hour certificate. Take your time, get it all in. Then maybe do one of the practical courses, add on wherever you are, JCB, and just see if you like it. I reckon you'll get back into it really quickly. And then just start planning. But 3 years is too early to be applying for. Okay. Z, would the teaching, I'm going to be stopping in about 5 minutes, everyone. Would the teaching hours abroad be more unsociable, or would the work-life balance be similar? Depends on you. Right. A lot of Countries abroad do split shifts. So I remember when I worked in Japan, for example, for TEFL school, they'd have me working in the morning. So like 7 a.m. I'd be my first teaching class. I'd then not be working most of the day, and I'd be working again in the evenings. I hated that. I then managed to find a job where I was teaching 9 till 5. I loved that. Does depend on you. A lot. You will find that you're working evenings or mornings generally, because a lot of the classes happen in language schools after school or before school, or after work, before work. You will find your working weekends if you're going to go work for a language school. If you find a job at a university or a high school, you will definitely find that it's more Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Okay. Kerry, you're in the UK. Interesting one. Is it a viable option to find work as an online teacher or locally in the UK? Yes. Locally in the UK, where am I going? Definitely options there. Online teaching, definitely options there. We're coming up to the summer. There's loads of work in the UK in the summer. Go on our website, look at the job centre. You'll see jobs being advertised locally in summer schools. They are great fun. You hardly spend any money. They put you up in accommodation. They give you all your food. It's fantastic, great fun. Online, yes, for sure. Depends on the time difference where you want to work and what hours you want to work. But there's definitely online work. Okay. Esperanza, you're from Mexico and would like to teach in Italy. No, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to speak Italian to get a job there. No, and a lot of companies want people who can't speak the native language to go work there. Why? Because you are there to teach English. You're not there to learn Italian. You're not there to teach Italian. Does it help with beginners and low levels if you can speak the local language? Yes, it does. But no, I don't think it's absolutely necessary at all. Dari, would having a degree in English make it a bit easier? I think a degree in anything, but English, of course, will help a bit more than a degree in music or geography or something like that. Definitely will. Jared, should you look at TEFL certificate strictly with a practical component, or is an online course with 100? So 120 hours is sufficient to get hired. What I would say to you, Jared, is if you are recruiting people and one person has it with the practical component, one person doesn't, who are you going to recruit? The other thing, if you don't have any experience, the practical component can really help your CV to stand out, because it gives you something to write about on your CV. Okay. But I know plenty of people that have done 120 hours and have got jobs. So it's up to you, Jared, really what you want to do. Yes, Z, on your CV, you can highlight those. Abigail, the difference between TEFL and ESOL is ESOL tends to be for people already in an English-speaking country. So if I was to teach people who can't speak English in Ireland, I would be an ESOL teacher. If I was to go work abroad teaching people in a country where English is not the first language, I'd be a TEFL teacher. Still lots of questions about the level of English. You got to Google it, I'm afraid. You got to ask the recruiter what they accept, what they see as a level. Do you need a degree to teach in Kazakhstan? Don't know. I went and taught in Kazakhstan. I have a degree. Sorry, Andrew. I would be lying if I made the answer up. I don't know about that. Kazakh people are amazing. That's what I would say. Florencia, how much to charge? How much are you happy to work for? I have a limit, a bottom limit for how much I'd be happy to work for. That's probably different from what you would be happy to work for. Think about it. Do you have much experience? Do you have much qualifications? You're at the bottom end. Think about what would be a good wage for you to survive. Not a good wage for you to buy a Porsche. A good wage for you to survive. I'd go with that. No, Ellie, I think if you say you're already working towards your degree and you're going to get it and you can prove that, I think you're fine. English in the hospitality industry, I'm not sure, Trevor, sorry. Right, I can't get to the end. That's been an hour. Thank you, everybody. I'm sorry if you're still with us this evening. Thank you very much. but I know I've got a place to go to. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the last hour. Amazing questions. Please like this video. Please like our page. If you want more information, send us a message. On our website, in the bottom right corner, we've got a chat with us function. Click on that, send us a message. We will read it and we'll probably get back to you over the weekend or Monday. If you're on Facebook, send us a message. We read them all. YouTube, put it in the comments. We read the comments. LinkedIn, send us a message on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question. Please type it in and we will get it to, we will answer the question as soon as we can. Cheers, everybody. More information on our website, tefl.org. Bye.